Kereisos Daf Tezvav. Continuing in the Mishnah on Daf Yudalad on Beis. If a person was married to 3 women, his mother-in-law's daughter, his mother-in-law's daughter's daughter, and his mother-in-law's son's daughter, and then he had a relationship with his mother-in-law, so he's over on Chamoisai, his mother-in-law, Aim Chamoisai, his mother-in-law's mother, and his mother-in-law's father. According to Rebbe Menur, you be chayiv 3 times. And according to Rabbanan, you only chayiv once because it has one name, mother-in-law. Rebbe Lazar says that this Rebbe Menur is the same halacha as Sumchus. So we had in Chulin a case, there's an Isser to shecht a mother animal and her offspring on the same day. You're not allowed to shecht behema number 2 with behema number 1, or behema number 2 with behema number 3. However, it is allowed to shecht behema number 1 and 3, a grandmother and her grandchild. What happens if a person shechted 1 and 3 on one day? And then he went along and he shechted number 2. Really, he's being over on 2 separate isurim, 1 and 2, and 2 and 3. So according to Sumchus, you chayiv 2, and that would line up with Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, that over here he's chayiv 3 on 3 mother-in-laws. According to Chachamim, you only chayiv 1. Rava says that in this case, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri admits the Chachamim because it's only one name, and therefore you chayiv only 1. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says that Sumchus admits the Chachamim over here because the Torah says Zimahi. The Torah made it into one Isser. Over there is different because there's Gufim Chulakim, different cows, different animals, and therefore it's also. The following Mishnayos discuss questions that Rabbi Kiva asked his friends. These particular Mishnayos on our daf are questions Rabbi Kiva asked Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Gamliel as they were shopping for an animal for Rabbi Gamliel's son's wedding. Rabbi Kiva asked, what happens in a case where a person had a relationship with a woman? So let's say in this case, Nimrod had a relationship with Leah, who happens to be his own sister. She also happens to be his mother's sister, and believe it or not, she's also his father's sister. So the Gemara says that this case is a Rasha, the son of a Rasha, even if it was Shogeg, they're considered Rashayim perhaps, and we learn from Achoisai that he's chayiv 3 chatois, even though it's b'shogeg. If a person had a relationship with 5 of his wives, and all of them were nidais, and it was in one in awareness, how much is he chayiv? He's chayiv 5, and it's not because he caused each one of his wives to be chayiv a carbon, but rather it's because they have gufim mechulakim, and therefore, if one man was with his wife 5 times, and she was a nida, he had 1 awareness and she had 5 awarenesses, he's chayiv 1 carbon and she's chayiv 5 carbonis. So it has nothing to do with being mechayiv somebody else a carbon, rather it has to do with how many awarenesses and how many gufim there are. According to Rebbe Lazar, even with 1 woman, you're chayiv on each and every bia, and the reason is, according to Rava, is because every maisa, every action, creates a isser. And therefore, on Shabbos, if a person reaps the shear of reaping of a gregeres, and he does it twice, in 1 awareness, he's chayiv 2 karbanos. According to Rebbe Lazar, dafka by bia, where you can't combine the actions, you're chayiv on each and every one, but by reaping, you could combine the 2 actions in 1, and therefore, you only chayiv 1, but according to everybody, if you reap in 1 shot 2 shiurim, you're only chayiv 1. In a case where a person cut 2 branches. 1 branch was that of a vine without any grapes on it. He needed it for heating, for wood. And the other branch was a fig branch and he needed it for eating. So one was an av and one was a tolda. According to Rebbe Lazar, you're chayiv 2. And also because, not only because it's an av and a tolda, but because it's gufim chulakim. It's separate entities. Says the Mishnah, in a case where there's dangling limbs. Now, if the limb was completely severed from the body, if it's a human body, it has a tumas meis, and if it's an animal, it's a nevela. But since it's dangling by a thread by this animal, the Mishnah says it should be just like a dangling limb of a human being, which doesn't have a halacha of a severed limb, and it doesn't have any tumah at all. In fact, the Mishnah says that the mukei shchin, those who had shchin and didn't want to look disgusting when it came to yantiv, they would go to a surgeon and have him remove the entire limb besides a hair. It was still dangling, so the surgeon didn't become tummy. And they were concerned that perhaps they will become tummy when the limb is severed off. As it's severed off, it will touch part of the body and then they will become tummy. So what they did was they hooked the limb into some sort of nail and with force they yanked it off, that it never had a chance to touch the rest of the body. We have a similar halacha by a leak, that if you squeeze a leak, the water that comes out of the leak has the ability to be makshir l'kabel tuma, the leak itself. That is, if it doesn't come out forcefully, but it comes out forcefully, then it doesn't makshir. It's not makshir. Zav and a zava, same thing. If they squeeze a garment, as long as the water is inside the garment, it's not considered mashkim and they're not tamei. Even as they're squeezing and the water comes to the outside of the garment, it's not tamei, it does not mukhshal kabel tuma yet, because it will go back into the garment as it gets back to the end. But once it comes off, if it comes out forcefully, it's not tamei. If it comes out slowly, it could be mukhshal kabel tuma. Another question Rabbi Kiva asked is, what happens if somebody shechs 5 animals outside of the Beis Hamikdash in one awareness? So Rabbi Yehuda wanted to say that it's similar, you can make a kavachomer from food, that before zrika, if you have 5 tamchuim, 5 types of food, you're chayiv on 5 mi'ilos. So certainly in our case, where there are 5 individual entities, 5 bodies, 5 animals, you'd be chayiv 5. Says Reb Shimon, there's no raya. From shechita to mi'ilah, by mi'ilah, he had anah, so therefore the question was more a question if somebody ate 5 pieces of noisa. And Rebbe Kiva said that that's not a good kavachomer because mi'ilah is more chomer. You see an unbelievable concept by mi'ilah. All over the Torah, there's no shnech l'dvar aveir, but by mi'ilah, the person who gives somebody else hegdish to use, that person, the giver, is oiver, so therefore you can't learn anything from mi'ilah. Have a wonderful day.